The fatal flaw in every DNA test will shock you because I've discovered a case where one person's DNA appears at multiple crime scenes simultaneously, proving that our most reliable forensic evidence can lead to impossible conclusions that challenge everything we think we know about individual identity and genetic uniqueness. This isn't about contaminated samples or laboratory errors. This is about DNA evidence that is scientifically valid, properly collected, and completely accurate, but points to one person being in multiple locations at the same time. I'm Daniel McKenzie, and the twin crime synchronicity case exposed a fundamental limitation in DNA evidence that most people never learn about. Genetic identity doesn't guarantee individual identity. Dr. Patricia Santos is one of the country's leading DNA forensic experts. She has analyzed thousands of samples over 15 years and never encountered anything like the Torres twins case, where identical DNA at simultaneous distant crime scenes created an identity paradox that challenged the reliability of genetic evidence. DNA evidence is supposed to provide individual identification, Dr. Santos explained. But the Torres case proves that DNA can identify genetic profiles without distinguishing between separate individuals who share those profiles, creating impossible conclusions about individual presence and behavior. The DNA evidence was perfect, properly collected, uncontaminated, and scientifically analyzed. But it proved something impossible, that one person committed two murders 200 miles apart at exactly the same time. By the way, everything I'm sharing comes from actual DNA analysis and forensic expert consultation included in my book, The Impossible Files. The Torres case has been studied by forensic genetics programs because it exposes limitations in DNA evidence that could affect thousands of criminal cases involving identical twins. Here's the fatal flaw that the Torres case revealed. DNA testing identifies genetic profiles, but genetic profiles aren't unique to individuals. Identical twins share identical DNA, making genetic evidence unreliable for distinguishing between them in criminal cases. Marcus Torres's DNA was found at the Denver crime scene. Martin Torres's DNA was found at the Colorado Springs crime scene. But because identical twins have identical DNA, laboratory analysis concluded that one person had been present at both locations simultaneously. The DNA evidence was accurate, but the interpretation was impossible. The same genetic profile existed in two locations at once because it belonged to two different people who happened to share identical genetics. Dr. Michael Chen, who analyzed the Torres DNA samples, admitted that standard DNA testing protocols couldn't distinguish between identical twin samples. Our technology identifies genetic markers, not individuals. When identical twins are involved, DNA evidence can create the illusion of impossible individual presence. This is just one of 16 cases exposing forensic evidence limitations in my book, The Impossible Files, link below. But the DNA identity paradox has implications far beyond the Torres case. It affects how DNA evidence should be interpreted in thousands of criminal cases involving genetic relatives.